Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing an unboxing and assembly of the NymoLabs NBX-5040 CNC router kit. Now, full disclosure here, the folks at NymoLabs didn't send me this free of charge, but anybody that's followed my channel for any length of time knows that whenever I do an unboxing and assembly and review and all that, I always talk about the good as well as the bad. So you will get a full honest review on this kit. I'm really anxious to get this thing assembled, so let's get started opening this box and taking a look at the parts. This box was delivered by Amazon in one of their larger than normal box trucks, and there were two drivers. So I met them at the end of the driveway with my two-wheel hand truck because I knew this was going to be heavy, and boy was it heavy. I think the shipping weight of this thing is over 100 pounds, so it took a little bit to get it raised up on this table. But as you can see from these video clips here, it was very well packaged, lots of heavy foam, and it all arrived in perfect condition. After I got all the parts out of the box, I took a good look at the manual and kind of laid the modules out the way I thought they were going to go. But there is something wrong in this picture. Do you see it? We'll talk about that in just a little bit. I don't find out for several steps later. The first step is easy enough. It's just peel and stick the rubber feet to the bottom of the front and rear modules. They're included in the little plastic toolbox that comes with the kit. Step 2 is attaching the left and right Y-axis modules to the front and rear modules using M5 by 25 millimeter socket head cap screws. You want to put the screws in, but don't tighten them down completely just yet. You'll need to tighten those a little later. And thanks to NymoLabs for supplying a long enough ball nose Allen wrench that you can actually use to put this thing together. On the Y-axis modules, you'll want to make sure you have the angled face going towards the inside, as I'm showing here. The 90-degree face goes on the outside of the machine. Step 3 is to attach the aluminum T-slot table with the M5 by 16 millimeter socket head cap screws. And once again, be sure and leave these loose. Don't tighten them all the way down just yet. Once you have the aluminum T-track mounted loosely on the table, Step 4 is to attach the included HDF board with an M5 by 25 millimeter screw. Again, leave these loose so that they can be adjusted later. Before starting step 5, use the manual knob and make sure the Y-axis slider's back on the stop on both axes. Step 5 is to attach the XZ module to the right angle sides of the left and right Y modules. It's kind of heavy, so get help if you need it. Once you get the XZ module lifted up onto the Y modules, insert the threaded pins and then install a M4 by 10 millimeter socket head cap screw on each end of the pin and tighten securely. There are two 4 millimeter Allen wrenches provided with the kit for this purpose. Once you have the threaded pins securely fastened, then use some M6 by 20 millimeter socket head cap screws to finish attaching the XZ module to the Y-axis module. Step 6 is installing the spindle using 4 of the M4 by 18 millimeter socket head cap screws. Just put them all in loosely to start, and then once you have them all of the screws started, then come back and tighten them up securely. Now it's time for the wiring and cable connections. That's the easy part, right? Well, not so fast, my friend. Do you remember earlier in the video when I said something was wrong with this picture? It turns out that I had the rear module with the cable running through it going the wrong way. After reviewing the instruction manual, I see that there is no mention at all of the plugs on each end of this module not being the same type. One is a female plug and it needs to go on the right side of the machine, and the other plug is a male plug and it needs to go to the left side of the machine. If NymoLabs had done a blow-up view here instead of here, I might have noticed that the cable was running through the back channel of the rear module. A simple note in the instructions about the plugs being different would have been even better in my opinion, or maybe even a tag on each plug. Since the rear module part is symmetrical, you have a 50-50 chance of getting it right, or in my case, wrong. This ended up being just an inconvenience as I had to block up the rear and remove all of those screws that were kind of put in there loosely, and then turn the rear module around so that the female plug was on the right side of the machine, and then just put the screws back in. Okay, after that little detour, I'm back on track now, and it's time to go around the machine and tighten all of the screws that were left loose. And finally here I'm installing the dust baffles with some M5 by 16 millimeter socket head cap screws. Okay, I'm going to fire this thing up here for, well, not the first time, but we'll pretend it's the first time so I can show you what to look forward to here when you start this up. Notice how, you know, it said to have all this stuff against the physical stops in the back, and then of course the Z-axis was all the way up. Well, if I turn this on and try to home it, it's not going to, because this is already up against the limit switch. Those are already against the physical stop. So I automatically get an alarm right here that says check the limit. So let me unlock it and come to prepare, and then I'm going to let's move the Y off of those physical stops there a little bit, and let's bring the Z down a little bit. Now we should be able to go over here to next. Okay, so now I want to hit the home right here, and it will come up and ask, you know, tell me the seek rate, feed rate, the pull off, and all that. And you can change those, I believe. Yeah, you could change those if you on the fly if you want to, but I'll leave those at the factory default settings and hit start, and it will start homing. Okay, when I went to try to run a program to start with, the SD card was in here, and on the offline controller, you put the SD card right there, and I pulled it off and went here to prepare, and then to next, and then it says File Choices, and you click that, and it would come up and tell me what was on the SD card. Well, it said NymoLabs something or other, so I just assumed that was a program, and when I went to load it, when I start the machine, it would just sit there and not do anything. So I took the SD card back out, put it in here, went and looked it up on Notepad on my other computer, and found out that that was basically a PDF of the instructions for this machine. Now, there were some other folders on here, one that had some test programs, but the SD card and this controller will not see any of those files if they're in a folder. It has to be on the root directory. So I made a copy of the test file and then put it on the SD card. Okay, so let's prepare this thing. I'm just going to go out here and set, we'll just move the X-axis out to the middle somewhere. That's pretty good. We'll move the Y back a little bit. Also keep in mind, these are all default settings. I haven't changed any settings yet. Then we'll bring the Z down a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to come over here to next. I'm going to hit 0XY. Now I've got that zeroed out. Now I'm going to hit 0 the Z. Now I've got that set up. So now let me load in that program. We'll go to the SD storage. Highlight that program. Hit select this code. And there you can see it down in there. Now we'll hit start. And then start here. And it should take off and go. Okay, when it completes the program, it comes up with a little beep to let you know it's done. Gives you the time that it took to run. That was 1 minute and 18 seconds. And also, if you're running something that you're going to just pull that material out and set another blank in, you can hit repeat here and it will just take off and go again. Otherwise, you can hit the return button and it will take you back to the jog screen. So let me get the camera moved around here, and I want to go through. I know this video is getting a little bit long, and there's going to be lots more videos with this machine, a lot of testing different materials, different accessories, stuff like that. So let me move the camera around, and I'll give you my first impressions on this machine. Okay, now I'd like to talk about my first impressions, likes and dislikes. First of all, what's not to like about this machine? The fit and finish is fantastic. It has a slick looking controller and some very impressive specs. It has a work area of 19.7 inches by 15.75 inches by 3.74 inches. That's 500 millimeter by 400 millimeter by 95 millimeter for my friends across the pond. The frame is all aluminum with a footprint of 33.3 inches by 28.6 inches by 18.2 inches. The X and the Z axis use an HG15 linear guide, and the Y axis uses 20 millimeter high-speed steel linear tubes. The X and Y axis use 1605 ball screws, and the Z axis uses a 1204 ball screw. The machine is driven by NEMA 23 1.89 Newton meter stepper motors, as opposed to the tiny NEMA 17 motors that many other manufacturers use. The spindle is NymoLabs' own variable speed router with a range of 7,000 to 30,000 RPM. The router uses an ER11 collet, so you can use either a 1/8 inch bit or 1/4 inch bits. However, only a 1/8 inch collet was included with the kit. I guess that's because 1/4 inch collets are very expensive. The NBX-5040 kit comes with a decent set of starter bits to get you going on some projects. The machine bed is aluminum T-track and HDF boards, which is my favorite, and the included clamps are way less fiddly than the other type most other brands supply, and they hold very securely. The NBX-5040 kit comes with a nice Z-axis height probe, but the connection for it is on the back of the gantry, just like many of the other manufacturers do, and I wish they would put it on the main control box so that you're not dragging the cable around as the gantry moves. The offline controller is one of my favorite features of this machine. It's very easy to read and navigate through the menu items, especially when using the touchscreen pen. There are lots of cool accessories available for this machine, such as a rotary axis, an MPG, a 10-watt laser, and a dust shoe. I'll be doing some videos on some of these in the near future. I hope you've enjoyed this video about the NymoLabs NBX-5040, and if you have, please leave me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. And until the next one, thank you very much for watching.